Hey there, it's Shannon Math Chick Myers, and today we'll be looking at how to find a power series solution using y equals the summation as n goes from 0 to infinity of c sub n x to the n of the linear first order differential equation y prime minus 8y is equal to 0. So we have y in terms of a summation. Now we need to find y prime. And so y prime will start at 1 and we'll have n times c to the n times x to the n minus 1. So just substituting y prime and y into the equation that was given, we will have this summation from n is 1 to infinity of n times c sub n times x to the n minus 1 minus 8 times y, which was the summation as n goes from 0 to infinity of c sub n times x to the n, and that's all equal to 0. So now we are going to need to put the summation. We want both of the summations to be in terms starting at the same index. So for this one, we're going to let k equal to n minus 1, the same as the power on the x. And then we'll need both. N will equal to k plus 1. And for this other one, it'll just be k equals n. So, continuing, we will end up with the summation when n is equal to 1, k will equal to 0. So it'll go from k is 0 to infinity, and then n was k plus 1, and we will have c sub k plus 1 times x raised to the k plus 1 minus 1. And then minus 8 times the summation, we just switch all the n's to k's. And all of this is equal to 0. Simplifying, we have k goes from 0 to infinity, k plus 1 times c sub k plus 1, and then this exponent will simplify to be k, minus 8 times the summation of k equal 0 to infinity, c sub k times x to the k. All of that is equal to 0. Writing this as one happy summation and factoring out the x sub k to the right, we will have k plus 1 times c sub k plus 1 minus 8 times c sub k, all of that times x to the k, and we'll get that equal to 0. Cool so far? Beautiful. So now we set the portion, the factor that's next to that k, equal to 0 and solve. So we'll get k plus 1 times c sub k plus 1 minus 8 times c sub k is equal to 0. K plus 1 times c sub k plus 1 is equal to positive 8 times c sub k. c sub k plus 1 equals 8 times c sub k over k plus 1. And this is for k equal to 0, 1, 2, and so on. So now let's figure out some values, all right? So for k equal to 0, we will have c sub 0 plus 1 equals 8c0 over 0 plus 1. So c1 will equal to 8c0. Now let's look at k equal to 1. That's going to give us c sub 1 plus 1 is equal to 8c1 over 1 plus 1. And so c2 is equal to 8c1 over 2. But we can write c1 in terms of 0, right? So c2 is going to be 8 times 8c0 over 2. And that, of course, will be 8 squared c0 over 2. Cool so far? Now, we could also write c1 equal to 8 to the 1 c0 over 1. So let's see what happens with this trend. For k equal to 2, we'll have c sub 2 plus 1 equals 8c2 over 2 plus 1. So now this will be c3 equals 8 times c2. So c2 is 8 squared c0 over 2. And this will be over 3. So c3 ends up being 8 cubed c0 over 2 times 3. So now we need to look at the potential of factorial, because this would be okay because we would have 1 times 2 in our factorial. And this one would be, so let's see what k equal to 3 brings. So this will be c sub 3 plus 1 equals 8 c3 over 4. c4 will be 8 times 8 cubed c0 over 2 times 3 over 4. So c4 would be equal to 8 to the 4th c0 over 2 times 3 times 4. So these are all factorial. So I think we've got our pattern here. So let's see how we can write this. So y would equal to c0 plus 8 c0 times x over 1 factorial, so 8 to the 1, c sub 0 times x to the 1 over 1 factorial plus c2, we got 8 squared c sub 0 over 2 factorial times x squared, making this a power series, plugging in for x, plus 8 cubed c sub 0 x cubed over 3 factorial plus 8 to the 4th c0 x to the 4th over 4 factorial plus dot dot dot. Now let's look at c0. Couldn't we write c0 as 8 to the 0 times c0 times x to the 0 over 0 factorial? So we'll have y equals c0 times the summation as k goes from 0 to infinity of 8 to the k over k factorial times x to the k. Now, let's take a look at that power, right? So we'll have y equals c0 summation, k goes from 0 to infinity. We can group the 8x and that'll be raised to the k over k factorial. So this will give us y is equal to c sub 0 times e to the 8x. And we're done. So hopefully this helped out, and if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you're watching this show. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel and give the video a like. Thank you. Bye.